Times people don't want to do that. So salute to Quentin. Also, Concussion, the NFL flick about the NFL's handling of concussions over the last couple decades. That's featuring Will Smith. I'm probably passing on that one. And, I think it could start some more, cast some more negative lights onto the NFL, despite along with what we see on a weekly basis this year I know Kuechly missed the game earlier, the Panthers missed the game because of concussions. Obviously, the little Wes Welker, he had to step away from football early because of concussions. And there's obviously the, Junior Seau story, and I can't think of the one linebacker who killed himself too. But obviously, a couple of players have taken their lives dealing with the CTE. I'm not gonna try to pronounce that acronym, spell that one out without looking at the word right now. But I think I'm gonna sit that one out. Unless reviews are just that great. But that seemed like it may have been a better HBO movie or something versus being on the big screen. But also on December 25th, which is Christmas, Point Break with Edgar Ramirez, I believe, is coming out. I think I'm going to pass on that one. But the big one that I'm looking for, along with The Hateful Eight, Samuel L. Jackson is also in that one. But the one that I'm looking forward to is The Revenant with Tom Hardy and Leonardo DiCaprio. So it's a big couple of months coming up to finish out the calendar for Hollywood. So with that said, we'll get moving on to this recap on Empire and BET's Being Mary Jane with Gabrielle Union on the other side of this break.
Going for Two, your number one source for fantasy sports with top-notch fantasy sports advice, an exclusive community forum, and some of the best and most knowledgeable writers in fantasy sports. Visit today at going42.com. That's going for the number 2.com. Going for Two features NFL, Major League Baseball, NBA, and more. And they also provide the best advice for your FanDuel, DraftKings, or daily fantasy sports site. Sign up for the Going for Two newsletter and get updates immediately through your email. And while you're on the site, make sure you check out the exclusive section, Why I Hate. That's going42.com, GOINGFOR, the number 2. Going42.com. Go visit and get the inside scoop of everything fantasy sports.
Hey, welcome back to Pay Me No Mind. This is your host, Wood. Just a little shout out for my partners over at going42.com. Check out some of my articles over there. The old-fashioned three-point play. I typically break down a couple of sports takes and then finish it off with one take on entertainment. So, some Empire articles or Being Mary Jane thoughts could be over there at going42.com by me. You can check me out at RL Woodson. And, looking forward to interacting people with a different space. So with that said, we'll get into my guest appearance with, like I said, Miss Jasmine Doakes out of Cincinnati, Ohio. Her Bengals went to 8-0 this week. If you saw Thursday night football, the battle for Ohio. But we had an interesting talk, and we'll get into it. All right, welcome to Pay Me No Mind. This is your host, Wood. Once again, I'm welcoming back Miss Jasmine Doakes to the program. And first, how you doing? How you been?
Hey, thanks for having me again. Pretty good. Enjoying the season. It's going by quickly.
Right, we kind of got off our game a little bit with the World Series. And I think... I know we flirted around and did a video audio show that wasn't too well received or didn't get the interaction we were kind of looking for. But so I'm bringing Jasmine on. You can find her on Twitter at JDoakes. That's DOAKES. So I was bringing you back on so we could get back to our recaps of Empire, and also now that being Mary Jane has started, we'll throw that one in the mix. And like I said, we kind of left off maybe at episode 4, which was Poor Yorick. Also, there's been episode 5, which was Be True. And then this week was episode number 6 of season 2, A High Hope for a Low Heaven. And just looking at this, I don't know, before we get into our thoughts on the show, I did notice that on Rotten Tomatoes is one of the websites that I kind of go to check out, different ratings and how shows are being received and just how they're ranking and performing. And Rotten Tomatoes actually had this episode ranking right now at 69%, whereas all of the previous episodes have been in the high 90s. And the first 2 episodes of season 2 both came in at 100. So really 2 contrasting views for this week. One was from Aisha Harris of the Dissolve. She commented that this was one truly bad episode of Empire. And I went on and read her article, which was on slate.com, and she was kind of tore the show down a little bit and just mentioned that the quality of the writing and the storytelling was declining. But we'll get into that more. But then on the other side, a lot of the professional critics, I believe is what they're called, such as Phoebe Robinson of Vanity Fair, her thought was that this was another top-notch episode. So I'm kind of confused where I am with the series right now. I know talking to some people at work, they're ready to bail on a weekly basis. And then also I did see on the root.com a writer by the name of Panama Jackson has an article up right now talking about Empire, the thrill is gone. So we'll hit on some of that as well as we get into breaking down this week's show, or catching up in general since we are 3 weeks behind. So man, it's a lot to kind of summarize, but to this point, obviously Lion Dynasty Records is up and running or trying to get a foothold in the game. That's being ran by Cookie. Lucius is out of jail and has kind of resumed or has resumed running his own company or record label, Empire. I think they also acquired this Ghetto Life Records or Ghetto Records? Gutter Life. Thank you. So he's acquired that. Him and Andre has kind of been welcomed back into Empire now that he revealed to Lucius that he actually had already taken care of Vernon. He showed him where that body was, him and Thirsty, which is, and his name just skipped my mind at the moment, but the lawyer that came in, he was absent this week, which was kind of interesting. But Andre's back at Empire. Jamal is kind of moved back into being an artist versus trying to run the company, which he wasn't so hot at to begin with. Adam Rodriguez has joined the show for the last few weeks as a promoter / security, kind of a fix-it guy. We've learned some interesting things about him, but he helped with helped Dynasty or Lion Dynasty promote a show that they put on to try to garner some attention for the label. There's kind of some sparks there between Cookie and Laz that we saw kind of play out this last episode. And then briefly, Hakeem was kidnapped by a group that had been making hits against some of Lion Dynasty Records artists, such as V. Bozeman and Tiana. And Hakeem lost out on one Latino lead singer for his girl trio, but he's replaced her with another young Latina who he found out kind of getting over one setback in his life and stumbled upon this new girl. Can't remember her name at the moment, but we'll get into that. And then as we got into this week's episode, Hakeem was released, and that brings us to where we are now. We can kind of get into it. We don't have to start with that. Well, I guess we can. What was your thoughts on that? the way that was handled, because it looked like the teaser from the week before. It looked like this kidnap storyline could be a major part of a show or the next couple of shows or something. And I barely got settled into my seat before Hakeem was already in the process of being released.
Yeah, it was very brief, and I knew he was gonna be found that episode just from, I guess, pictures or whatever. But it was so okay, we're gonna hit you one time, and then just drop off the money, and then he just happens to get out of the truck and goes have sex with Boo Kitty. So that was weird, because it was so quick, and so I don't know. I don't know, but I think maybe that experience, hopefully, it's maybe going to toughen him up or make him to be a man. Or my real question is, how is he Hakeem Lion and he doesn't have security with him? You know what I mean? Like, he's a rapper, he's Lucius Lyon's son. Why doesn't he already have a security in place with him?
Now he was.
But hopefully, I guess this impacts his story, because it was kind of, other than that, I don't know how necessary it was, other than Laz being, part of the bad guy, whatever. So, but it was so quick. So I don't know.
Yeah, that's actually one of the issues that you just hit on all of them. That the Panama Jackson writer from theroot.com, that's what he was really kind of took exception with the show this week, was one that that Cookie seemed to be totally oblivious to the fact that security was needed. And then, like you said, her artists have already been hit, and she had done very little about it to that point. And then why is Hakeem, just totally accosted in broad daylight? My thing, though, before moving along, how does Lion Dynasty Records at this point really even have any revenue to really even provide security or any of these other things that you would get from a label? I mean, that's one thing that's bothering me, is like, no records are being sold, no singles are being sold, no downloads are happening. We're only talking about promotion shows. And if I get ahead of myself, Jamal is still, he's singing a new one or two new songs a week, and there's really no album. So I'll tie that in later with one of my issues with the show. But yeah, I thought it was I thought the kidnapping was kind of handled really weakly. Like you said, I did know that he was going to be in this week's show, because I think the teaser kind of revealed that he'd be back arguing with some family members or something, so you knew he was coming home. But and it is kind of shocking to see that at times Cookie is such a fixer and is so street smart, and then all of a sudden she has to take all this tutelage from Lucius on the spot about what's going on with why Hakeem has been kidnapped. So it's kind of sloppy. But you just touched on one thing. Are you shocked or disappointed the way that Anika has kind of just become this? They just turned her into a total thought at this point, where he just pops up over her house of all places, and she just takes in his romantic advances, and I guess they got down. I don't know if that was to set up the jealousy scene later on with the lead singer of his group, but yeah, I just don't know what they're doing with Anika. I think, go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
No, just like I said, they've totally just, I guess she's in a bit of, in a rut in life in general. Because we picked up on her crying into the phone I think it was to her mother or something. So I don't know. I just don't like where Anika, from where we met her at. She was good enough of a woman, upstanding and everything, to be Lucius's fiance just last year, and now she's barely above street trash. So I don't know. I just think they've kind of sloppily handled her character.